Tuesday, September 29th. I see that I've written it down as Monday, but it's not. It's Tuesday. Yikes. Hi, Mary. How's everybody doing? Take a little bit of a look here. This is the view from my side yard, and I put it up there. You can't see it very, very clearly, but we're gathering some clouds, and there's a funny wind coming in, and it feels like we might get a thunderstorm, and if I hear one, I may have to jump up and run over and save the camera. Yes, everybody, please share. We really need you to share. We've got so much going on today. Today we've got a guest named Chris Page. Chris is a young man running for mayor in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Boy, the skies do look a little intimidating. So if I hear some raindrops here in my secure, undisclosed location in Falls of Rough, then I will switch over to see if we can get a look at the storm and see how dangerous it is for the camera that's out there. Anyway, how are you all doing? My name's Hank Linderman. I'm running for Congress here in Kentucky's 2nd District. I'm the Democratic nominee. This is the second time I've run. 2nd District is south of Louisville on down to Bowling Green, which is where Chris is from. And then from Owensboro across to Danville's 21 counties. You know them, you love them. Davis, Hardin, Warren, Bullitt, Nelson, Barron, Boyle, Meade, Mercer, Breckenridge, Grayson, Hart, Hancock, LaRue, Washington, Garrett, Jessamine, Green, Edmondson, Butler, Spencer. So anyway, you know them, you love them. I think a bunch of you were here on the weekend when we did some virtual fundraising and rallying, and we raised some money that would not have come otherwise. And so that was a fantastic, fantastic thing. And we'll be doing this every Saturday and Sunday. In fact, I'm 7 days a week now here at Getting Angry. And you all know that what Getting Angry means. And this is related to the quote from the great St. Augustine. He said, hope has 2 beautiful daughters, anger, which helps us see what needs to be done, and courage, which makes us willing to get up and do what we need to do. So anyway, here we are. Let's do some work before we call Chris. We're going to call Chris. I told him we'd call him at 20 till. Roy Frazier is here. Roy's going to share. I know he is. Mary Richardson is here. Jay Goldstein is here. Jay, do a video that we can play for our fundraiser. Get in touch with me. You're a wonderful musician, singer, songwriter, and cool human being. We had a bunch of great folks. I spoke with Jerry Goodman. I don't want to reveal his secret evil plan. But Jerry Goodman is going to he's going to have his video here by later this week. So by Sunday, we should have that. Larry Schott is here, John Schott. And by the way, John, we are working on simplifying the donate button. It's too difficult for some folks, and I get that. So that request went in today. And am I taking my multivitamins? I'm taking all sorts of multivitamins and supplements and stuff. So let's see. Everybody shared. Roy, hope you're working on your video. And everybody, once again, share. Oh, and big news. Whoops. Wrong button. Sorry. Greg Adams is going to show up on Thursday.
Greg Adams, good Dr. Adams, ask Dr. Greg.
The crowd goes wild. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but it'll be something about healthcare, and it'll probably be related to COVID. So anyway, here we go. Let's do our homework. We've got to do some looking at numbers. And I did an unusual thing. Now, notice in the upper left-hand corner, and I'm going to see if I can point at this. No, it's this way for you guys. So it's actually, I'm pointing to my right because it's a mirror image. It's not right. But in the upper left-hand corner, all the way over there, it says now. I almost never show now because the figures are so far behind. But look at that. USA now, today, we've already got 520 new deaths, which is terrible. This tragedy just keeps going. Let's look at yesterday. And notice new cases, 23,957, and the day is not over. Yesterday, we had 37,000 new cases, 37,418. And the new deaths from yesterday were 355. But remember, go back. Today, we've already got more new deaths and fewer new cases. So that just illustrates how volatile these numbers are, and especially over the weekend. So just bear that in mind when you're keeping track of this stuff. Here are the states that are unfortunately leading the way. Texas continues to chip away at the most amount of cases. It might take them a while, but they are potentially going to wind up supplanting California with the most amount of cases. I don't believe I grabbed Kentucky's figures because they were pretty small. Let me get a real quick look here. No, I might have. Yeah, there's Kentucky, 5 new cases, and how many new cases? Was 448 and 5 new deaths. I mean, tragic, but we have not gotten out of it. Cindy Braun says yes. South Dakota has become a hot zone, and South Dakota and North Dakota are the 2 hottest in terms of statistically. They have the most new cases, the most stuff going on there. I've got some other things I got to quickly get through. Let's look at this. This shows you, again, see, it looks like the United States dropped down. Don't pay attention to that. That's just a very brief change. I mean, we're all hopeful that this will drop, that we're not still headed back up, but I think we are still headed back up. Let's look at this really quickly. I thought this was fascinating. This is a summary of the COVID-19 survival rates. And look at this, age 0 to 19, 99.997, 20 to 49, 99.98, 50 to 69, 99.5, and if you're over 70, 94.6 survival rate. And the point here is that on the right, on the conservative side, on Fox News, they were like, oh my God, 99%? And you're telling me this is a problem. Well, the reality is, in a nation of 325 million, 1% is 3,250,000 people dying. That is not insignificant. And that is the problem. Just 1% mortality in the nation will lead to all sorts of deaths that would not necessarily have been experienced. I'm going to race through this because I'm trying to get to Chris here as quickly as I can. Notice this, the President Trump seeks an extra debate rule, third-party inspectors to look for electronic devices in candidates' ears. Now, I don't know about you, but in the movies that I've seen where people go in to cheat at Las Vegas or whatever, they use all kinds of things to cheat. They've got little things that attach to the inside of their wrist that tap little messages to them, or they're connected to their ankle. So I think really the only fair thing is a strip search of both candidates and that they appear in hospital robes so there's no possibility of cheating. I think that makes total sense. Mr. Trump may not feel the same. It's been a long time since we've used that. Anyway, on the final thing we're going to look at before we call Chris, and we've only got 40 seconds to talk about this. The point of this is, notice that if we break our population down into where people are, rurals have 25% of the population, small town are at 23%, small city and suburban 27%, and urban core big city 25%. But look at their representation in the Congress. 35%, is that right? Average say 35% coverage. They've got a lot more coverage in the Senate than in the cities, do. And since they've got all that much more representation in the Senate, my question is, why don't we already have rural hospitals staying open? Why don't we already have higher wages for working people? Why don't we already have rural broadband? And the reason is that Republicans like Mitch McConnell, like Brett Guthrie, the guy that I run against, used that leverage, that extra power that they had in the Senate and therefore the House. They used that leverage to make their contributors more powerful, more wealthy, and they also got personally more wealthy. In fact, Brett Guthrie is on a pace, according to Open Secrets, it looks like he's on a pace to be, he's accumulating wealth more quickly, personal wealth more quickly than Mitch McConnell. Okay, enough of that. It's time to call Chris Page. Let's see if we can get Chris to answer. And I'm going to put his picture up so you can see what he looks like. Hey, Chris.
Hello? Yeah,
Chris, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Hank, and yourself?
Well, I tell everybody that's a damn dangerous question these days.
Yes, sir, it is.
So, Chris, I met you, I believe, on the Juneteenth celebration in Shake Rag. Is that possible?
You met me at the Juneteenth celebration at Shake Rag Barbershop in Shake Rag Historic District. Yes, sir.
In Bowling Green, Kentucky. And I think you and I had I'm going to call it an animated discussion. I learned a whole lot from that conversation, and I invited you at that time. And I didn't realize you were running for mayor at that point. But when you and I showed up, I think we were at the Freedom Walkers event Sunday a week ago. And that's when
Yes,
I
sir.
realized you were running for mayor. And you're running as a write-in candidate. Is that correct?
I am, as of today, Hank, this will be my third week on the campaign trail. So when we met initially, I was not running for mayor, but I made that decision 3 weeks ago today.
Well, that's fascinating. And so far, how do you like being in politics?
I have a great respect for any politician who desires to run and gets in the race, regardless if they win or lose, because it is absolutely exhausting. But when somebody rides by and honks their horn at you and tells you that they're voting for you and you have no idea who this person is, it's also very thrilling at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, it is exhausting.
Yeah.
I tell people it's the hardest thing I've done, but it's what we have to do. And Chris, hats off to you for stepping into the ring. So let's talk about you just a little bit. Tell me where you grew up, where are you from, what brought you to Bowling Green, what do you do in Bowling Green? What's your connection?
I was born in Bowling Green to my mother, Linda Ragland, and my father, Leon Page, who is now deceased. I spent a little while, probably about my first 7 and 8 years, in Hobson Grove Apartments, right off Veterans Memorial. And then my mother fell on some hard times. So I went to live with my father in Forest Cave, Kentucky, in a African-American neighborhood called Henrytown. So I spent from 9 on up to graduating from high school, which was in 1992 from Corona High School. I spent that time with my father, and who was near and dear to me, taught me a lot about how to be a man, getting up and working for a living, and being able to provide for your family. And then after that, I graduated from high school and kind of wandered around, worked at some factories, things of that nature. Actually got myself in a little bit of trouble. And at that time, a friend of mine told me I ought to become a barber. Had no experience of any barbering whatsoever. And went to the Brad program. They said they would pay for it. So I got in barber school and became a barber in 2007. At that time, I started my own family, having children and things. And just stuck with the barbering, came to Bowling Green in 2009, started cutting hair on College Street at what they called then the shop at Shake Rag. Went back to school, graduated from Western with a religious studies degree in 2014 with academic honors. Became a pastor of a small church in South Union, Kentucky called Center Baptist Church. Last couple years, I purchased my own barbershop and really started doing a lot of the community work that I had wanted to do in other places, but really just didn't have my own platform, Hank. So now we have a Jonesville scholarship. On Thanksgiving, we give away about 150 turkeys. We feed up to 150 to 300 people with hot plates of food. We'll have to do things different this year, obviously, because of the pandemic. We do formal and informal, private and public means of philanthropy to all sorts of people. And we do what I met you at, the Juneteenth celebration on August the 8th. We did what they call a pop-up where African-American businesses came down here in the Shake Rag Historic District. So we have in the last 2 years, I have used, others have used this platform from the barbershop to really revitalize and re-energize our community.
And you know, the barbershop there is really a central point in the Shake Rag Historic District, isn't it?
Absolutely. Hank, what people don't know about African American barbershops is outside of the African American church, it is the most sacred institution in the community, because people don't understand that the civil rights activists would go to the barbershop, and one of the reasons that they did is because people would overhear them talking about things as far as people who didn't line up with some of the things that they was wanting to do, like protesting, sit-ins, things of that nature. So you could go into the African American barbershop, have a very open and honest conversation, and there would be no pushback on it from a negative point of view. So the African American barbershop has been very central all the way up from when we were able to have barbershops, even up to now today. And we are purposely trying to teach the people the tradition of the African American barbershop and to go out and do the philanthropy as well.
Wow. And you know, you have suggested that I come by. It's a bit of a drive for me. It's an hour for me to get there, and I tend to come on Sundays when you're probably busy elsewise. But I would be honored to have you cut my hair, and I would love to experience some straightforward conversation in an African American barbershop. That would be a wonderful thing to experience. And so, by the way, that anybody who's stopping through Bowling Green, you know, consider stopping by Chris's Barbershop. But you know, one of the things I spoke with Pastor Lee from Mount Zion Baptist, also in Bowling Green, and he was on last week. And one of the things we talked about were some of the pressures that are on the African American community and on the Shake Rag District. I wonder if you could fill in some blanks there.
Yes, I actually ran across that interview, and both of you all did a fabulous job. Pastor Lee got to talking about Jonesville. Jonesville means a lot to a lot of people. It's no longer exists because of the situation with WKU and everything.
Yeah, for people who are listening, I mean, we have people that are listening in from as far away as England and France. And for those folks, Jonesville was a small community, was an African-American community in Bowling Green that was kind of eminent domained, I guess, by Western Kentucky University.
Yes, it was the urban renewal. Western just kind of went in and bought up some of the properties and expanded, because Western was growing very fast and they needed it to expand. And one of the best ways to expand is to buy, you know, cheap pieces of property. Right. And if you went down the hill, it was a majority white people. If you went back towards Russellville Road, which we call down the hill, the opposite way, that's where Jonesville stood right in the way of WKU's expansion and the urban renewal. And they came in, and some people sold their properties voluntarily, Hank, and some people's properties were deemed dilapidated and got for a very cheap price. But still, the people are very still fond of Jonesville, and that's why last year I started a Jonesville Scholarship Fund with WKU ISIT, Dr. Martha Sells.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know, and you and I had a brief conversation about the difficulties of what we call gentrification. I mean, the goal sometimes when people are going into an area that they refer to dismissively as run down. We go into a rundown area and we're trying to help it, but they don't understand that a rundown area very often is a neighborhood that has provided a place to live and a community for generations of various communities. And this happens across the country, that a neighborhood is suddenly bought up and new buildings go in and rents double and triple. And it's been a problem and simply hasn't been done well, or very seldom has it been done well. One example of it being done well, I am told, was in New York City. Columbia University worked very hard as they expanded to include the neighborhood and to do what they could to enrich the neighborhood. But basically, this is a massive problem as we move forward in the United States, especially for communities like Shake Rag.
Yes, absolutely. Shake Rag Historic District is right in the middle, Hank, of downtown Bowling Green, where Circus Square Park and Fountain Square Park, and 31W Bypass, where people call the riverfront. Bowling Green has every intention someday, or they would like to, redevelop the riverfront, and they've already did some work downtown, about $4 million worth. And what we have told people, and this is what I preach at Shake Rag Barbershop, Shake Rag Historic District is probably the most valuable piece of property in Bowling Green because it's connected to two pieces of property that Bowling Green cares for, which is downtown, and they want to develop, which is the riverfront. The problem, Hank, has been that's a bad neighborhood. There's a lot of crime. And there are times there was crime down here. You know, I grew up part of my life during that period. There was crime down here. There were some things going on that shouldn't went down here. But the city has taken the initiative to clean it up, and it's a very diverse neighborhood. I think when African Americans hear gentrification, it's not that African Americans don't want people of other ethnicities moving into their neighborhoods. I don't think that's true at all. I think this could definitely happen at Shake Rag Historic District. If you say 10 to 20 years, they start investing in this area. People start buying up buildings, redeveloping them. People want to return on their investment. It brings in a new type of clientele. If we're not careful, African Americans in 20 to 30 years could come to Shake Rag Historic District, and Caucasian Americans could pretty much wonder what they're doing down here. Because our history is seldomly told, it's seldomly passed down to other groups of people. Now, we're very mindful to pass that history down to our children. So African Americans could essentially be in Shake Rag Historic District, and other ethnicities, especially Caucasian Americans, will probably wonder what they're even doing down there because they won't know the history. And I think, Hank, that's what African Americans are fearful of.
You know, it seems to make sense that developing Shake Rag, but maintaining its identity.
Absolutely.
In other words, repairing what needs to be repaired, building up what needs to be built up. But, I mean, it probably is going to require some sort of federal program to invest in Shake Rag that would favor folks who live in Shake Rag and who are willing to preserve its identity. And I don't know quite how that works. I don't know quite how you do that, but it seems to me that that's possible and desirable. I think it would be desirable for the city of Bowling Green to have a historic district like this. This would be I think it would be something that people would want to go visit, that they'd want to be part of. And
well, Hank, I can tell you how they can do it. When I purchased, or when I had the desire to purchase Shake Rag Barbershop was another barbershop, but the guy didn't own it. He didn't want to own it because he wanted to do some other things.
Right.
So I reached out to Abraham Williams. I don't know if you know him.
I don't. Oh, I may have met him. I have met him.
Okay.
He's an older gentleman. I went to the NAACP annual dinner in 2018, and everybody made fun of him because they said, we've been having this dinner for 114 years. And Abraham, you were there at the first one, right?
Yeah.
Is that right? Though I met Abraham in line for food, and he was surprised that I didn't really know him. So I was, I just met him as a human being. I didn't meet him as the legend that he is.
He is a legendary figure in Bowling Green, Kentucky. He is what I call the Godfather. He is the housing director of the Housing Authority. And Abraham Williams, I reached out to him because I had a personal relationship with him. He helped me actually secure buying my first home. So I contacted Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams told me that Housing Authority owned that piece of property that I wanted, but the only way they could sell it is they had to get permission from the city. The city agreed to sell it as long as I said that I would bring economic development. So once I showed them the way business plan and I could secure the loan, once I showed them, Hank, that I could do all these things, they sold me the property. Now, the way you see the property and the way I bought the property looked totally different. It was a black and brown building inside and out. So I paid somebody to come in and put new gutters up, black gutters, black and white paint, decals everywhere. I put money back into it. So a lot of people think that it has to be a federal thing or a state thing. some of this can actually be done at the local level through the TIF district, discretionary funds, even the Brownsville program. We also have the economic opportunity zones. I'm sure you heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Shake Rack District is in the opportunity zone. So investors can come in here and buy a piece of property up as long as they fix it up. It's suitable to whatever district they're in. So I actually went through the Board of Commissions, which makes up the mayor and the city commissioners, and Abraham Williams, which is the housing authority, to buy the piece of property that I own now, which we call Shake Rack Barbershop. So sometimes, Hank, everything doesn't have to be done at the federal level, the state level. The city can actually sell me or you some city-owned property as long as it's in the best interest of the community. And economic development is always going to be in the best interest of the community, because now I hire 4 people.
Yes, yes. Well, look, I kind of want to move to, we've talked a lot about Shake Rag, and that's near and dear to your heart, and I can see why you're so passionate about it, and I sure enjoy my visits when I get down there. But let's talk about other issues that affect the city of Bowling Green that are important in your race for mayor. So
Okay.
what other important issues are there in Bowling Green that you would like to discuss?
Well, since I'm running for mayor as a write-in candidate, I have a core agenda that I'm running on.
Okay.
Number 1 is racial unity.
Yep.
The city of Bowling Green must confront bigotry by promoting unity, especially when it comes to race. Hank, you know, and I know, and everybody else knows this listening. In America, we've been dealing with the same old problem for over 400 years,
Yep.
racial unity. But
Yep.
what makes America so dynamic and so dominant in a lot of the markets that we enter is because we're so different. People come here to America, Hank, because we're so different. And Bowling Green is made up of a plethora of nationalities. And I think anytime the city of Bowling Green can promote racial unity, I think they should. Because we should always be willing to celebrate our multiplicity of cultures. I think that's one of the key agendas that I'm running on, racial unity. People want to live in peace. I know African Americans do. And if we do that, Hank, then we can move on to economic prosperity. Yeah, America is one of the wealthiest and richest countries in the world, but just imagine what it would be if we had racial unity. Okay?
Yes.
So when people live in peace together, Hank, I believe they can prosper that much more together. So as mayor of Bowling Green, what would be my responsibility? Well, as an elected official, I would have a sworn responsibility to lay the legislative groundwork for all of our residents to achieve greatness. How do we do that? We already have a partnership with the Chamber of Commerce, the city employment. Out of almost 500 city employment jobs, Hank, only 29 African Americans are employed. That's just
500?
unacceptable.
Out of 500?
Out of about 483 jobs, we only have 29, give or take, close to 500, give or take. Hey, that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
We can accept that. So I'm on the Workforce Outreach Committee Board, which we're trying to get more a diverse fire department and diverse police department, and we're laying the groundwork for that, and we are actually having some success. Another one of the ways I just told you, city-owned land should be sold to residents who are looking to prosper economically, because we have to expand our tax base if we want to keep up some of these great services that we have in Bowling Green. Okay, so let's say that we're living in unity. Let's say that we're doing pretty good economically. I also believe we have to invest in environmental sustainability. The environmental planning, financing, and managing in Bowling Green, Kentucky has a direct outcome on its residents' livelihood. Okay, so areas such as energy efficiency, LED lighting, solar panels, the Brownfield Development Program, that's where factories or industrials used to be here and they might have contaminated the ground. The EPA will give you grants and stuff to go clean it up, and we could put other businesses in here. We got solid waste and wastewater management. These are things that are concerning our neighbors. And we have things like transportation. All of this, Hank, must be sustainable. It doesn't make any difference how much money we're making and how much we're getting along if we're going to be destroying the earth in the process, you know what's been going on out in California, Portland, Oregon. It's a mess now because of California and the air. The air is becoming polluted. The water is poisoned. The food is processed. And in the midst of this, we're going to perish along with that. Last but certainly not least, is personal accountability. So you understand what happened with the Breonna Taylor case somewhat, right, Hank?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Do you remember or do you know how much of a settlement that her family received?
What I saw, the headline was something around $12 million.
Okay. So who's going to pay for that settlement?
Oh, the city of Louisville will definitely.
That's right.
For it. Yeah.
That's right. So we have to, American taxpayers should not be on the hook for police misconduct. So police misconduct is actually bad for the American taxpayers. And it's roughly, we're paying out about $300 million a year statewide, nationwide, for police misconduct. That's something we have to address that. So if an officer is going to go ahead and misbehave, we should be on the hook for that. I just think that's irresponsible. That's not physically responsible. So, but the Bowling Green, as mayor, I have a personal and elected responsibility to be ethical when I carry out the will of the people. So the Bowling Green mayor and the city commission, they make up the board of commission. Hence, you can't get anything passed unless it's a 3-2 majority vote, right? You can't just go out and do stuff on your own. So
sure.
When we do carry out the will of the people, we have to do it in an ethical manner. The procedures in place must not be compromised so we can effectively resolve disputes. Everyone, from the mayor to the city commissioners to anybody that's hired by the city, everyone must own up to their personal wins and their personal losses. So police misconduct is bad for American business. And another part of this personal responsibility on the economic side, Hank, is this. We have 7,000 available jobs. Now, they might not be the best paying jobs in America, but we have 7,000 available jobs here in the South Central Kentucky. It's about a 10-county wide region. But we have unavailable bodies. Some folks just don't want to work. Some folks don't have the education. We have a lot of Kentuckians who do not have a high school diploma. And you know, and I know, Hank, a high school diploma is an entrance. You have to have this as an entrance level job. So we have to work on these types of things. We have a prime working age of Kentuckians. Prime working age, Hank, we have 20,000 without a high school diploma. That's unacceptable. Right. So we have to go all the way back to kindergarten and all the way up through the 12th grade, Hank, to resolve some of these issues. But I believe that's personal accountability.
Chris, I want to ask you, do you have a website?
My website is, I don't have a campaign website. I'm running everything through my Facebook, which is Chris Page, and you'll see me on there holding up a sign with a mayoral ballot.
Well, Chris, when we finish talking, I was going to invite you to be sure you go to the comments section and make sure everybody sees your Facebook page, because I'm sure
absolutely
contributions would be helpful. As
absolutely.
You pointed out, it's a lot of work, and you need to spend money on materials. And those who would like to, contribute to you would be encouraged to go there. And folks, please sign up for. We've had Chris is now the second candidate we've had on, and we have some. It looks like there's some wonderful candidates here running for mayor in Bowling Green. And Chris, I really thank you for being here, and I hope you'll come back and talk with me further.
Thank you, Hank. All right, God bless you, Hank.
And likewise, God bless you, Chris, and have a wonderful day. All right, thank you so much.
All right, bye bye.
Take care. Bye bye. Wow. Well, that's Chris Page, a wonderful human being, and like I say, we've already had another candidate, Tom Morris, who's also a write-in candidate, is running. It takes a lot of personal commitment to run for office, and of course, I understand that. I also want to thank all of you that have been helping, my campaign, that are willing to help other campaigns. It really does make a big difference. Tonight, by the way, of course, we have the first of the debates. As I forget who said it. I think it was it Will? Will said, "Yeah, let's have them appear." Or Jay Goldstein said, "Let's have them appear naked, and we could call it transparency." This is how ridiculous things have gotten to be in the United States here in 2020. But look, I'll be back tomorrow, and let's see if I can find my picture of Dr. Greg, because he's going to be here on Thursday. I'm not sure exactly what we're doing tomorrow, but I'll come up with something. We'll have something going on. Oh, that's Chris. There's Dr. Greg. So Dr. Greg is going to be here on Thursday. I got to play his song.
Greg Adams, good Dr. Adams, ask Dr. Greg.
Yes, indeed. So that will be on Thursday. And I'm sure maybe what we'll do is we'll talk about the debate tomorrow, and I'll be very interested to hear your comments about it. So anyway, thank you all for being here. As you know, when we are talking about getting angry, that means don't be a damn fool. That means get focused about doing the right thing, storing up your determination to do the right thing, to be ready to vote at your earliest opportunity. By the way, you've only got days to get registered in the state of Kentucky, literally days. So get it together, people. All right, I will see you when I see you. See you tomorrow.